My name's Dr. Shenoy, and I am a children's doctor here in Connecticut. And I'm very excited today to talk to you about the skeletal system. Now, the skeletal system is made up of bones, and it is basically what holds us up. If you and I had no bones, we would simply collapse to the ground, like jello or like pudding. Now, a baby's body, so in other words, when you were born and you were this tiny, you had 300 bones. But as you grew older, your bones tend to fuse and you're left with 206 bones as an adult. Now, every individual bone has three main parts. The outer part of the bone is called the periosteum. Now, the periosteum is the part of the bone which is richly supplied by nerves and blood vessels. Below the periosteum, you have what is called the compact bone. And that is basically the part of the bone that you can see when you're looking at the skeleton. It's very hard and it's very smooth. Now, the innermost part of the bone is almost like a sponge, and it's called the bone marrow. Now, this is the part of the bone which is responsible for making blood. So, as you can see, a very important function. Now, the skeletal system serves three main purposes. The first, it protects our internal organs. So our liver and our spleen, our heart, are all protected on the outside by our skeletal system. If we did not have this protection, every time we bumped against the wall or fell on the ground while playing soccer, we'd be hurting our brains or our liver or our spleen. The second important function served by the skeletal system is that it basically helps you move from place to place, as the muscles in your body are actually connected to these bones. Third, as I had mentioned earlier, the third function that the skeletal system provides is the actual making of blood, which is what the bone marrow is responsible for. Now, the place where two bones tend to meet is referred to as the bone joint. There are several types of bone joints in the body, but I thought I would talk about the two that would be the easiest to understand. The first type of joint, which I believe would be interesting, is the hinge joint. Okay, so pretty much it's like a door that is being opened and being shut. So the joint in our body that resembles the hinge joint is the elbow joint and the knee joint. The second type of joint is referred to as the ball and socket joint. A perfect example of the ball and socket joint would be our shoulder joint, okay, and our hip joint. Now, what makes these joints very special is that you can move them up and down and all around in many, many different types of planes. And also important to understand is that bones are held together by what we call ligaments. Ligaments are almost like little rubber bands and serve an important purpose. Now, if you take your hands and run it along your back, you would feel your spine. Now, your spinal cord is protected by the bones that make up the vertebral column. So the bumpy structures you feel on your back are the vertebral bones. I just thought I'd explain that to you so you could understand a little bit better about the skeletal system. And now, for the next part of our class, as always, you have to ask yourself what the hypothesis is. The hypothesis for this class is that there are indeed similarities between the human skeletal system and the skeletal system of a grasshopper. After doing the dissection and making your observations, it'll be easier and convenient for you to prove this hypothesis. And that would be the conclusion of this particular system. Till next time, thank you.